you saying LeBron is better than Michael Jordan?
I would pick LeBron James.
For ages now, Isiah Thomas has been one of the loudest critics taking shots at the sacred Michael Jordan legacy. He's gone way beyond just backing LeBron James. He's out here pushing the narrative that LeBron isn't merely a legend. He might actually be the greatest to ever touch a basketball. Now, it looks like Jordan is finally done playing the quiet game after years of listening to the chatter. Word on the street says he's fired back, and the fallout could totally wreck the whole GOAT conversation as we know it. Things really blew up on January 8, 2026, when Isiah Thomas stopped by FanDuel TV with Michelle Beadle, DeMarcus Cousins, and Chandler Parsons. People call it the Golden Age. Honestly, I just don't get how your generation sees things, you know? You guys are literally sharing the court with arguably the best player to ever lace them up. And look, pardon my French, but you all treat the man like he's just some average nobody. What started as a chilled-out talk about different hoops eras got heavy, and it got heavy fast. By the time Thomas stopped talking, he dropped a bomb so massive it sent shockwaves through the entire basketball community instantly. This wasn't just some hot take designed to grab a few cheap clicks or headlines. Thomas straight up asked why everyone still worships Jordan while LeBron is dominating right in front of them. Then he said something that killed the vibe completely. Thomas hinted that today's stars are just sucking up to the man who gave them a shoe deal. That wasn't an accident. The best. Oh, Michael Jordan was the king. Nobody could ever touch MJ, right? That's the story they tell. Right? Sure. But then you look around and LeBron James is sitting right there, holding literally every single record in the book, every last one. You're watching guys like Kevin Durant, and you're watching Steph Curry, yet when it's time to name the GOAT, you pick the guy who sold you sneakers. He was taking a direct shot at Jordan's massive Nike empire. In Thomas's eyes, Jordan's myth isn't just built on championship rings or being a beast on the floor. He's convinced that marketing genius, that Jumpman silhouette, and global clout are what really defined how we measure greatness today. Michelle Beadle tried to fight back, saying Jordan built a real emotional bond that made millions of kids fall in love with the game. But Thomas wasn't budging. He stood his ground, stone-faced. And look, this point of view didn't just pop up out of nowhere. See, Thomas has been building this case for years. Take his nephew, for example, who used to rock a Michael Jordan Bulls jersey. Thomas sees him and goes, "Wait, what on earth are you wearing?" The kid says he's in Chicago and this is his squad, his own flesh and blood. The kid didn't quite grasp that when the legendary Isiah Thomas is playing for Detroit, we don't do that. "But I'm a Chicago kid," he says. "I'm all about the Bulls movement." That really ticked Isiah off. It wasn't even a personal grudge against Michael himself. In his head, he's thinking, every time I face this guy, I'm going to destroy him because of that jersey. Way back in 2013, he claimed LeBron was simply the better athlete, bigger, faster, and way stronger than Jordan ever was. By 2018 on Get Up, he doubled down, basically saying LeBron James was just the superior all-around ball player. As the years passed, his logic shifted. First it was raw athleticism, then it was the longevity, then versatility, and now it's cultural power. It's clear now Thomas isn't just crunching numbers or comparing stat sheets anymore. He's calling out how corporate branding and money-making machines have rigged the GOAT debate, and the history here makes it personal. "I said it on air," he'd recount. "You called me an expletive and said you hated my guts. You broadcasted that to the whole world. If you didn't mean it, then get back on TV and say you're sorry." The bad blood between Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas is easily one of the longest-running feuds the NBA has ever seen. This isn't some random talking head giving a casual opinion from the sidelines. We're talking about a Hall of Famer who went to war with Jordan, saw him rise, and watched the league's entire identity shift. For Thomas, this isn't just about hoop skills. It's about respect, power, and who gets to write the history of who's the best. Say that. Or if you throw Dennis on him, well, Dennis had to play his part too, right? Look, we had to grind through that 80s transition. What happened, happened. But I didn't just walk away from the fight. So, now, with Jordan supposedly breaking his long silence, this war between legacy, marketing, and the hard truth of basketball is finally boiling over. You called me a name and then claimed you hated the whole thing. You said that on national television. Look, if you didn't actually mean it, go back on national television and apologize for it. But if you meant it, fine, let it stand. When one of the most iconic athletes ever finally speaks, the whole world listens. What makes this situation so intense is the timeline. These two legends haven't faced each other on a court since 1993. Yet here we are, over 30 years later, and that tension is still very much alive. Our families were close. We didn't just socialize, we actually spent real time together. We'd hang out. I had a little nephew living with them who was selling t-shirts right in front of him. What happened? Honestly, I have no clue. But I know for a fact I didn't just walk away. We weren't doing anything different than what the Celtics were doing back then, or what the Lakers did, or what any other team did after a brutal championship game. I simply don't recall teams going around and shaking hands back then. That is just my memory. Maybe I missed something. Suddenly, the GOAT debate feels personal again. This isn't just some old rivalry talk that died out. It became one of the most legendary high-stakes clashes the NBA has ever seen. Surprisingly, it didn't start with playoffs or hard fouls. The friction goes back to 1985, and there's a twist most fans missed. The greatest point guard ever is Magic Johnson, and right behind him is Isiah Thomas. While he was still playing, Jordan denied blocking Isiah's selection. "You want to blame me? Go ahead, be my guest," he said. But it goes deeper. The first real collision between Isiah Thomas and Michael Jordan didn't even happen in an NBA arena. The story actually kicks off during the Olympic trials back in 1984. At that time, college kids still played in the Olympics. To prepare them, they played exhibition games against NBA All-Stars. These were brutal warm-up matchups meant to show those young players exactly who ran the game. On paper, it looked like a total slaughter. The NBA squad had superstars like Isiah, Bird, Magic, and other elite veterans. The college team looked way too green. At least, that's what most people assumed. But that 1984 college roster was secretly packed with future icons. Beside Jordan were future Hall of Famers like Patrick Ewing and Chris Mullin, plus several others who'd have massive NBA careers. Still, nobody thought the kids could actually win. Sure, the NBA players were rotating their minutes. And yeah, they weren't in peak shape after a long season. But pros versus college athletes, the result seemed obvious. Then the games started, and suddenly, everything flipped completely. Jordan and the college kids stunned everyone, dominating the All-Stars with an 8-0 record. Isiah played 3 games, averaging 13 points. Jordan averaged 17, but stats don't tell the whole story. It was how he played that truly grabbed everyone's attention. His explosiveness was so wild that even seasoned veterans would stop mid-play just to watch him move. He looked faster, more powerful, and completely fearless. That same college squad went on to win Olympic gold, crushing opponents by an average of 32 points per game. Just like that, the first chapter of basketball's most heated rivalry was written before the world even knew what was coming. With Michael Jordan leading Team USA at 17 points per game, the warning signs were already flashing neon. Once Jordan hit the NBA, his dominance was instant. He dropped 37 points in only his 3rd career game. By just his 7th NBA appearance, he was already facing Isiah and the Detroit Pistons, the team that would define both their legacies. That first matchup didn't exactly start smoothly for the young Jordan. Early foul trouble kept him scoreless for the entire first half. But then, things changed fast. Jordan exploded for 25 points in the second half, nearly stealing the win. Detroit won, but the message was sent. This wasn't just another rookie trying to survive. This was a future superstar issuing a formal warning. Individually, Thomas had the better night with 35 points and 10 assists. A reminder that Jordan wasn't the king just yet. Thomas got his first win over Jordan in January 1985. But their next meeting planted something deeper, something lasting and personal. The 1985 All-Star Game wasn't just a showcase for elite talent. It secretly drew battle lines in the sand. From that point on, the league felt way too small for both of them. As their Eastern Conference battles got more intense, Jordan became convinced of one thing. He believed Isiah Thomas had disrespected him. For Jordan, the whole grudge started at that one All-Star game. He was convinced Isiah Thomas iced him out, no passes, nothing, and even talked the others into it. It felt like a calculated slap in the face, a quiet message sent while the whole world watched. The stats tell a different story. Jordan took 9 shots in 22 minutes, hardly unusual. Adrian Dantley, the league's top scorer back then, only got 6 shots off the whole night. Kareem and Bernard King took 10. So, no hard proof of a conspiracy, but logic rarely wins against a bruised ego. Still, Michael has always maintained that the real spark didn't happen on the hardwood. It started inside a quiet elevator during that All-Star weekend. As Jordan tells it, he stepped in with Thomas on the way to a meeting. He was the nervous rookie, unsure how to act around the icons. He kept it simple. A quick, "Hello, how you doing?" followed by nothing but awkward silence. He wasn't trying to be cocky. He just didn't want to slip up before a serious league sit-down. but silence can be loud. Sometimes a rivalry is born from the smallest, most forgettable moments. He didn't say much, but the rumors reached him anyway. Word was, Isiah thought the kid was stuck up, like the rookie already thought he was better than everyone. Michael calls it a misunderstanding. But Isiah's camp saw things differently. To them, Jordan showed up to workouts in full Nike gear, a bold move that didn't sit well with the old guard. From where Thomas sat, the Jordan hype felt like a manufactured spectacle. It looked like branding, like the rookie was already chasing global fame before earning his stripes. That annoyance turned to heat. And it didn't take long for the whole thing to boil over. Their rematch arrived fast. Barely a week later, Michael and the Bulls answered the only way they knew how. He went off. 49 points, 19 for 31 from the field, dragging Chicago to an overtime victory. Later, he admitted it. That was a grudge game for me. The media went wild. Headlines everywhere. Jordan's revenge. That freeze-out narrative spread like wildfire, and just like that, the rivalry was officially on. 2 years later, Jordan turned the heat up even more. He scorched Detroit for 61 points in another wild overtime battle. Every regular season game felt personal. Every single play was soaked in tension. But in the playoffs, the Pistons still owned him. His first 3 trips resulted in exactly 1 win against them. Even as Chicago got better in '88, Detroit swatted them aside 4-1 in the second round. Then came the real heartbreak, 1989, 1990. Twice they reached the finals doorstep, and twice Detroit slammed it shut. No matter how many points Michael scored, the Pistons were the one wall he couldn't climb. Losing that much does something to you. It turned frustration into a pure driving obsession. It wasn't about a misunderstanding anymore. It was about respect and dominance, and things were about to get physical. The Pistons didn't just play defense. They turned every possession into a street fight. Enter the Jordan rules, a brutal strategy of constant bumping, hard fouls, and non-stop psychological warfare. The plan? Make every drive hurt. Every movement a chore. Every minute a living nightmare. For a while it worked. Isiah kept saying nice things in public, calling him the best, but the court told a different story. Detroit kept pushing him. But by '91, the tide finally started to turn. The Pistons had been to 3 straight finals. The miles and the beatings were finally catching up. Meanwhile, the Bulls were peaking. Jordan, Pippen, and Grant were faster, stronger, and finally on the same page. When they met again in the conference finals, what happened next caught everyone off guard. Chicago dominated, taking the first 3 games easily. Before Game 4, Jordan went for the throat. He called them undeserving champs and said their style was poison. Isiah fired back. People will remember us as one of the greats. He should have more class than that. Detroit was insulted and motivated, but pure grit wasn't enough to stop the tide. Chicago had leveled up. The Bulls finished the sweep and never looked back. Then came the moment that etched this feud into history forever. Clock winding down in Game 4, the Pistons just walked off. No handshakes, no respect shown. They bailed before the final horn even blew. The fallout was instant. Fans lost it and the media went wild. This wasn't just competition anymore. It had morphed into deep-seated, genuine bitterness. Chicago rolled over the Lakers to grab their first title. Finally, Jordan stood alone at the summit. But soon, another chapter added a whole new layer of drama. Rod Thorne from the selection committee called Jordan up, offering a spot on that legendary 1992 squad. According to Jack McCallum's dream team, Jordan didn't hesitate with his answer. "Rod, I'm not playing if Isiah Thomas is there." Later tapes proved he meant every single word of it. In The Last Dance, Jordan admitted the hatred was real, but denied blackballing him. Still, the timing? It's incredibly suspicious. Jordan signed on September 21, 1991. Not long after, the world saw the official roster. Charles Barkley, Ewing, Magic, Jordan, Malone, Mullen, Pippen, Robinson, and Stockton. A roster of absolute giants, but Isiah Thomas was nowhere to be found. The basketball world went into a total frenzy over it. Thomas was a perennial all-star and widely considered the second-best point guard ever behind Magic. Yet when the greatest team ever assembled hit the floor, his name was mysteriously absent. Whether Jordan pulled the strings or not, the message was loud and clear. This feud didn't stay on the court. It bled into every legacy talk and GOAT debate since. From a purely basketball standpoint, maybe there was some logic there. By 1991, Thomas was still elite but past his absolute physical peak. Magic still owned the spotlight, while John Stockton was putting up record-shattering assist numbers with robotic efficiency. Regardless, being left out scarred Thomas's legacy. Still, he kept it classy and professional in the public eye. Working the 1993 finals for NBC, he spent his time on air praising Jordan's incredible skill and dominance. Even with years passing by, that underlying tension never really went away. Thomas hung it up in 1994, but the friction stayed. Overall, they faced off 65 times. Interestingly, Thomas actually won the series 36-29, including a 12-10 playoff lead. For a long stretch, things cooled off, only bubbling back to the surface occasionally. In 2004, Jordan got honest, admitting there was some genuine hatred between them back then. Brad Sellers put it perfectly. Thomas was Chicago's golden child until Jordan showed up and stole the entire show. John Sally later confirmed that this power struggle created a permanent rift. By 2009, sparks flew again, but The Last Dance documentary really lit the fuse. Jordan looked back at that early walk-off and called it an act of pure disrespect. Teammates like Pippen and Grant didn't see it that way, but Thomas was the one who felt burned. Thomas knew things were rocky, but he had no clue Jordan's dislike for him was actually that deep or personal. After the film dropped, Thomas went on the media circuit, basically demanding an apology. Around that same time, his tone took a very sharp turn. He stopped calling Jordan the greatest ever, pivotally naming LeBron James as the true king of basketball. During the 75th anniversary in 2021, Thomas even ranked Jordan fourth among his toughest career opponents. Since then, the gap between these two has remained massive. Thomas made peace with Magic, but with Jordan, that bridge is still burned. Michael Jordan is famous for never letting a grudge go. He hasn't talked to Pippen in years and reportedly shut out Charles Barkley over a decade ago. Like the man said himself, he takes everything very personally. Looking at how this has played out, the war between Jordan and Isiah still feels like unfinished business. Truly disappear.